Thank you, Rob. We are now back in open session, and I can confirm that we only discussed that item that was on the closed meeting agenda. So we're back to open session. As I said, the motion that is on the floor currently is related to collective bargaining between Grey Gables, Lee Manor. Perhaps I'll read it just so everyone is clear. That report HRRCW-0424 regarding the results of collective bargaining between Grey Gables, Lee Manor, and OPSEUD Local 299 be received, and that Grey County Council ratify and approve the recommendations of the bargaining team between Grey County and OPSEUD Local 299 to bind the new collective agreements, and that the warden and clerk be authorized to sign and bind the new collective agreements as ratified ahead of council approval as per section 26.6B of the procedural bylaw, and the county council authorized staff to make the necessary amendments to rates of pay, benefits, and other issues identified as agreed changes. So that motion has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Councillor Mackey. I think it's already been moved and seconded, so it has. Okay, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. So we're back to 6A, the consent item. Councillor Body.
Thank you, Warden Milne. I pulled 6A in our consent agenda. It was a letter from the President and Chief Executive Officer of Georgian College, Kevin Weaver, and it refers to decisions made by the Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship Canada. As we know, there is limits put on accepting people from outside the country into Canada, and they announced in January that they wanted to reduce the number of people coming in. September 18th, they announced expansive measures to reduce the number of temporary residents, particularly international students eligible to enter Canada. This has affected Georgian College. They're down approximately 1,000 international students this fall, and well below the new caps that were introduced. The Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship Canada want to identify needs within the country to fill those roles as they allow students to come in. However, they're not necessarily looking at local needs in our economy and our region. The recommendation that was on it was just to receive the letter. I'd like to move that we direct our warden to write a letter of support as was requested, and I'll maybe go to that paragraph. We seek your support to demonstrate the critical need for the IRCC to align postgraduate work permits eligibility with local labor markets, recognizing the individual needs of communities across Canada and the immense value of our communities realized from our continued partnership. So I would move that we direct the warden to write a letter of support in those terms, with a request that the letter be sent to the Minister of Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship Canada, our local MP, Alex Ruff, and again, Kevin Weaver, the President.
Thank you, sir. And Councillor DeBreen has indicated she will second that. Any discussion, questions? Councillor Mattress.
Thank you. Through you, the warden, could I please also request that correspondence go to both of our MPs so that it goes to MP Terry Delville as well? Thank you.
And might I suggest that it go to the provincial MPPs in the province as well? Okay, thank you. Councillor Gregg.
Well, it's a pretty broad topic. I mean, where do you start? Like, really and truly, it'd be easy just to support this, but there are so many other components to it. And we talk about the impact on healthcare currently. I think we have one of the best local healthcare systems in terms of being able to get in and get treatment. And still you hear stories of 6, 8, 10 hours or more in ERs. The last few years have demonstrated significant housing challenges and shortages and increases in rents. And this is not just for students traveling international, but this is for people who live here who have been born here, who've spent their lives in the communities and are struggling with affordability as rates rise because of demand. I think it's acknowledged now. It was certainly acknowledged yesterday, again, the troubles and trying to reproject the type of immigration levels that this country can safely absorb. I'd like to learn more about the topic than just to vote on it in support right now. I think the impacts are more significant in terms of how the enrollments have impacted all communities, whether it's just the Georgian College or Windsor or St. Clair College was probably one of the most renowned colleges for international students flooding the community, and its impacts subsequent to that and concerns. And there are many valid concerns. The colleges are a business. At the end of the day, they are a business. And there is an onus to respond to just the capital markets. Try to meet the demand that the capital markets have there. And if there's only so many resources available, then wages should increase and flow to higher levels in terms of the labor supply to support certain industries. And I think colleges and universities have to respond to that. I'm a little concerned with where we have been the last several years now in terms of the overall enrollments and the impacts in communities. So I would be more comfortable with a couple of weeks. The last line is an open invite to the president to come and perhaps speak to council. I would certainly be fond of that. But I think more time should be given to council considering such a request and considering the impacts overall on what's occurred in the communities and what type of contribution this enrollment, the enrollment numbers of the past several years have had in the communities. And there's a multitude of impacts.
Kim, you'd like to speak to that?
Thanks, Mr. Warden, and through you. In many ways, Councillor Gregg, I think that what you're saying actually aligns with what President Weaver is suggesting in this correspondence, in that Georgian, in maybe a way that's somewhat unique in the province, has worked really hard to align their course offerings and their international student recruitment to the specific needs of our job market. They are not, that I have ever had information to suggest, bringing students here to Owen Sound for the sake of bringing them. And I think the graduation numbers and not the graduation numbers, the employment numbers that they're seeing post-graduation would support that they've paid close attention to what programs they should be offering and ensuring that the people that come here are successful and are fulfilling a need in our communities. Savannah, you might have some more.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Warden. I would agree with what Kim's saying. We know that right across the province, it's definitely not painted equally, but what we've seen with Georgian and the work that we've done with them over the last several years, in 2022, we co-funded an international student coordinator position with Georgian College, and they've carried that on through today and intend to carry that forward because they want to see their students successful. And all of the programs have been aligned to power engineering to support nuclear and marine, because we have a huge opportunity here and a massive shortage in Canada for marine. And we also have not nuclear, I already said that, but nursing and ECE. So those are the other two areas where they have very specifically attracted international students. And right now there's about 100 international students on campus in Owen Sound. That number could grow. We need it to grow. When we look at our demographics and where things are going, if we are not attracting people in, and especially students who have the opportunity to train, and they're also working 20 hours a week while they're here. So that's part of the study permit, that they are required to work 20 hours, no more, no less, off campus in the communities. So when we look at international students, there's huge potential here, and we're certainly concerned about what we're seeing in the media. We're waiting for the federal government to formally announce all the numbers. They haven't actually done that yet, so we are waiting, but I think what, the president is offering here to be able to come and speak. I know him and Dave were very willing to do that, to be able to have the conversation with council about what we're seeing, what we're worried about, and what we'd like to plan for in the future.
Thank you, Savannah. Counselor Greg, follow up?
Well, I'd just like to say I appreciate both responses from staff. I guess my general concern would be if every president of a college was, extending such correspondence back to every municipality, and every municipality just says, yeah, we fully support the documentation in front of us, then we say, how are we part of finding the solutions to the problems that are right in front of us right now? So that's my concern for the Express, was just if this was just a uniform type of response from all colleges, but if it is specific here, then I'm glad to hear that.
Okay, thank you. Counselor DeBreen?
Thank you. Through you, Warden. I appreciate the fact that this is a request to take a local lens to understand our needs here locally. And would it be a requirement to include a clause that invites the president to delegate to, as it has been mentioned, that he's willing to come and speak to council? Is that a requirement in the resolution, or can it just be?
I think, or I know that they are scheduled to come in the near future on another topic, so certainly this could be a point of discussion at that time as well. So I don't think it's necessary to include it. Counselor Body, I see your hand up.
Yeah, if I just may follow up, a number of us were at a session a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, at Walkerton, the Nuclear Innovation Institute put on, and the professor from Brock, I believe was, maybe his name was Brock Dickinson. I can't think of the first name, who was looking at demographics, and he was talking about how the world population is slowing down, and in Canada and North America and Western worlds, we need labor. We're not having the same number of kids we did, and talked about how Canada is a leader in immigration and bringing in educated immigrants that support our economy. We have to do that. Where the pushback is in the last few years, there's maybe been just a general immigration of so certain in the political argument would argue that it's just been a wide open immigration policy, and I don't know enough to actually give an opinion on that. But if you're bringing in kids that want to be educated and want to have jobs, that education piece is a big part of what we need for our labor and for our economy. I would hope that every president of every education institute across this country is writing the same letters to their municipalities for support. Educated immigrants we need. We need immigration. We have to have immigration. There's no doubt about it. There has to be some framework put into that, but there under the terms of temporary residence, we know there's issues of temporary residents that are coming in and working and maybe taking jobs in different things. These are people that are coming to seek education and to become educated employees. And I think that's a little bit different under that umbrella of straight temporary immigration. But I think it's important. It's important for Georgian College. It's important for our economy in this area. And I don't think we need other studies. And frankly, I don't think that we need to hear from the president in order to send a letter of support in this, from my point of view, in this situation. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion? Counselor Eccles.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. The complexities of this strain my small mathematical mind for sure, Mr. Warden. We have a housing problem here. I think we've just passed something about Georgian College building more housing. for these types of immigrants that are coming in. You know, locally, a few years ago, there was another issue around student immigration. And Georgian College was kind of at the center of that one, where there was a quota on immigrants, international students coming to Canada, coming to Ontario. I'm just wondering whether anybody has any update on how that was resolved at the time. Georgian College ended up with a number of students that applied here, but within the first month, then would transfer to a college in the urban centers. I'm a little bit, but that was what was going on at that point in time. I understand and I support Georgian College, yeah, having these students come here, you know, immigrating, being educated. It's wonderful, but it's all the other little things that I'm not really seeing here or have not been made aware of what can happen going into the future with this many. How does it impact? What is going to be the overall impact? And I can see Savannah wanting to punch the microphone there and give me some update on that problem that happened. It was a number of years ago. I realize that.
Savannah, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Warden. You are correct. I mean, in the past, there were a lot of issues around international students coming to the community and not having the supports that they needed in place. And I know there was a session, I think Mayor Body, you were at it, listening to the experiences of international students, and it wasn't positive. It wasn't what Georgian wanted to be putting forward. It wasn't what Grey County or any of the partners or municipalities wanted to be seeing. And that's when we made that co-investment in the International Student Coordinator. So when every student comes here, they have one point of contact that is dedicated to making sure that they are finding their way in community, that they're finding appropriate housing, that they are finding the job that they're looking for, that they're well connected, they have a community being built around them. And that has been a game changer for the success that we've seen here. So you're right, we used to have students come here and it was a shell shock and they would think, wow, this is not what I was expecting, not what I was looking forward to. It's not like that anymore. People who are coming here, they are committed, they are staying here, they're getting their education and then they're working. So we know that that shift has really made a difference. And that's part of that made in gray approach that we talked about. And why that co-investment was made, and Georgian continues to carry that on. So we are no longer paying for it. We only paid for it that very first year to see if it would work, and it has been very successful. And I think that that's something that maybe when Kevin and Dave are talking about what Georgian is doing, how it's been doing things differently, can really speak to some of those instances and the outcomes that we're seeing and how that is definitely different here and why we don't want to be painted with the same brush that we're seeing right across Ontario. But I don't anticipate that we're looking locally at adding hundreds and hundreds of international students. We can absolutely see more here, and we'd like the ability to do that. And I think that's where the concern is coming from, that depending on what the numbers come down from the province, that ability to grow or even to maintain where we are may not be an option anymore. So that's part of the work that we'd like to be able to continue working on with Georgian over the next while.
Thank you, Savannah. Okay, good discussion. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Oh, Councillor McLean and then Councillor Mackey.
I was just going to move a motion to defer this till we had a chance to hear from the president of the Georgian College, Kevin Weaver. I'll put that motion on the floor to defer this till we have that opportunity.
There's a seconder. Councillor Gray. Discussion. Call the question on deferring. All those in favor? Opposed? That fails. So we're back to the original motion. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Any other business? Any notice of motion? I need a motion to adjourn. Councillor DeBreen and Councillor Nielsen. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are